The richest man in the world stood in his hotel bathroom at 4 a.m., staring at his phone. In 7 hours, he was supposed to marry the woman he loved. Instead, he was about to send the most heartbreaking text message of his life. "I can't do this. The wedding is off. I'm sorry." His finger hovered over the send button. 200 guests were sleeping peacefully, dreaming of celebration. Sarah was sleeping in their bed, her wedding dress hanging like a promise in the closet. But 20 minutes ago, Elon Musk had learned a secret that changed everything. A secret so dangerous that even love had to be sacrificed to keep it. The fate of 8 billion people now rested in his hands. And saving humanity meant destroying his own happiness. He pressed send. The morning sun painted the sky over Austin, Texas, in soft pink and gold. At the Four Seasons Hotel, wedding planners rushed around like busy ants. White roses covered every table. String lights hung from the oak trees in the garden. Musicians tuned their instruments on a small stage. Today was supposed to be the day Elon Musk married Dr. Sarah Chen. Sarah stood in her hotel room, looking at herself in the mirror. Her wedding dress was perfect. Flowing white silk with tiny diamonds that sparkled like stars. Her grandmother's pearl necklace rested on her throat. Her dark hair was pulled back in an elegant bun with small white flowers tucked behind her ears. She looked beautiful. She looked ready to become Mrs. Musk. But something felt wrong. Sarah picked up her phone to check the time. 9:47 a.m. The wedding would start at 11 a.m. In 1 hour and 13 minutes, she would walk down the garden path to marry the man she loved. Her phone buzzed with a text message. Sarah smiled, thinking it was probably Elon sending her something sweet. Maybe a joke to calm her nerves. Maybe a poem about space and love. He always sent her messages about rockets and stars. But when she read the message, her smile disappeared. "I can't do this. The wedding is off. I'm sorry." Sarah stared at the screen. She read the message again. Then again. The words didn't change. "I can't do this. The wedding is off. I'm sorry." Her hands started shaking. The phone slipped from her fingers and landed on the thick carpet with a soft thud. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." Maya, Sarah's younger sister, came out of the bathroom carrying a makeup bag. "Sarah, are you ready for final touch-ups?" "The photographer wants to..." Maya stopped talking when she saw Sarah's face. "What's wrong?" Sarah pointed at the phone on the floor. Maya picked it up and read the message. "What?" Maya gasped. "This has to be a mistake. Maybe someone stole his phone. Maybe this is a joke." Sarah shook her head slowly. "It's not a joke. Look at the way he signed it. Just E. That's how Elon signs his serious messages." Maya sat down on the bed next to her sister. "Sarah, there has to be an explanation. You two were so happy yesterday. At the rehearsal dinner, he couldn't stop looking at you. He told everyone you were the best thing that ever happened to him." Sarah remembered the rehearsal dinner. Elon had stood up and given a speech about love and the future. He talked about how Sarah made him want to be a better person, how she inspired him to dream bigger dreams, how together they would build a life as amazing as a rocket ship flying to Mars. Everyone had laughed and clapped. Sarah had felt like the luckiest woman in the universe. What had changed in 12 hours? Sarah picked up her phone and called Elon's number. It went straight to voicemail. "Hi. You've reached Elon. Leave a message and I'll get back to you. Unless you're calling about buying Twitter. I already did that." Even his voicemail made her want to cry. She had heard that silly message 1,000 times. "Elon, it's me," Sarah said after the beep. "I got your text. I don't understand. Please call me back. Please explain what's happening. I love you." She hung up and immediately called again. Voicemail again. Maya went to the window and looked down at the garden. "Sarah, there are 200 people down there. They're all dressed up. They're waiting for a wedding." Sarah joined her sister at the window. She could see the guests arriving. Men in dark suits. Women in colorful dresses. Children running around between the chairs. Everyone looked happy and excited. They had no idea that the bride's world had just collapsed. "I see Kimball," Maya said, pointing to a tall man who looked like Elon but with darker hair. "Maybe he knows what's happening." Sarah saw Elon's brother talking to some guests near the ceremony area. He was smiling and laughing. He didn't look like someone whose brother had just canceled his wedding. Maybe he didn't know yet. Sarah tried calling Elon one more time. Voicemail again. Something terrible must have happened, Sarah said. Maybe there was an emergency at SpaceX. Maybe one of his rockets exploded. Maybe someone in his family got hurt. But even as she said it, Sarah knew that wasn't right. Elon dealt with emergencies all the time. Rocket explosions, factory problems, stock market crashes. He had never let business stop him from important personal events. Last year, when Sarah had been in the hospital with appendicitis, Elon had left a board meeting to sit with her. When her father had his heart attack, Elon had flown them to the best heart hospital in the country on his private jet. Elon didn't abandon the people he loved. Not ever. So why was he abandoning her now? Sarah sat back down on the bed and picked up the text message again. She studied every word. I can't do this. Can't do what? Get married? Love her? Commit to a future together? The wedding is off. Not postponed. Not delayed. Off. Cancelled. Over. I'm sorry. Sorry wasn't enough. Sorry didn't explain anything. Sorry didn't fix the 200 guests waiting in the garden. Sorry didn't fix Sarah's broken heart. Maya sat next to her and took her hand. What do you want to do? Sarah looked at her wedding dress in the mirror. All that white silk and lace. All those dreams sewn into every stitch. Her mother had worked with the designer for months to make it perfect. I need to get out of this dress, Sarah said quietly. Sarah, I can't wear a wedding dress when there's no wedding. With Maya's help, Sarah carefully took off the dress and hung it in the closet. She put on jeans and a simple blue sweater. The same kind of clothes she wore when she worked in her lab, trying to help people with brain injuries. Real-life clothes. Not fairy tale clothes. There was a knock at the door. Maya opened it to find a woman with short gray hair and worried eyes. Dr. Chen. I'm Janet Morrison, the wedding coordinator. We have a situation. The guests are asking when the ceremony will begin. Sarah walked over to the door. Ms. Morrison, the wedding has been canceled. The coordinator's face went pale. Canceled? But we have 200 guests. A full catering setup. Musicians? I know. I'm sorry. We'll pay for everything. But there won't be a wedding today. Ms. Morrison looked like she might faint. Dr. Chen, in 30 years of coordinating weddings, Is Mr. Musk ill? Has there been an accident? I don't know, Sarah said honestly. He sent me a text message canceling the wedding. That's all I know. Sarah's phone rang. For a moment her heart jumped, thinking it might be Elon calling to explain everything. But it was her mother. Sarah, darling, people are saying the wedding is canceled. That can't be true. It's true, Mom. But why? What happened? Did you and Elon have a fight? No fight. He just changed his mind. Not yet. I need some time to think. After hanging up, Sarah walked to the window again. Down in the garden, she could see the confusion spreading. Guests talking in small groups. Wedding planners rushing around looking panicked. Musicians packing up their instruments. Elon Musk was walking toward the hotel. He looked confused and worried. He's coming up here, Maya said. Maybe he has answers. 5 minutes later, Kimball knocked on the door. When Sarah opened it, she could see that he had been crying. Sarah, Kimball said, I'm so sorry. I don't understand what happened either. You don't know why Elon canceled? Kimball shook his head. I talked to him last night at the rehearsal dinner. He was so happy. He kept talking about your honeymoon trip to New Zealand. He was excited about showing you the SpaceX facility there. When did you find out the wedding was off? 20 minutes ago. A security guard told me. I tried calling Elon, but his phone goes straight to voicemail. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Kimball, where is Elon? Is he still in the hotel? That's the strange part. Hotel security says he checked out at 6 a.m. 3 hours after the rehearsal dinner ended, he left in a black car with government license plates. Government plates? Sarah, I've never seen my brother act like this. Something serious is happening. Something he can't tell us about. Being the world's most important rocket scientist meant dealing with secrets, but Elon had never let those secrets affect his personal life. Until now. I have to find him, Sarah said. Sarah, if Elon left with government people, we might not be able to find him, Kimball said gently. Then I'll wait. I'll wait until he comes back and explains why he destroyed the best day of my life. But deep in her heart, Sarah was starting to understand that this wasn't about cold feet or second thoughts. This was about something much bigger and more dangerous. Something that could make even Elon Musk choose duty over love. Something that could make the richest, most powerful man in the world walk away from his own happiness. The question was, what could be that important? And would she ever see Elon again? Outside in the garden, the guests waited. They didn't know yet that the wedding was canceled. The chairs were arranged in perfect rows. White flowers hung from every tree. A string quartet played soft music while people talked and laughed. Elon Musk checked his watch. The wedding should have started 10 minutes ago. He walked toward the hotel to find out what was happening. His phone had been buzzing with messages from family and friends, asking why the ceremony was delayed. In the crowd, he saw familiar faces. Gwynne Shotwell from SpaceX sat in the front row. She had helped build Elon's rocket company from nothing. She was like family to the Musk brothers. Next to her sat Drew Beglino from Tesla, wearing his best suit and looking confused about the delay. These people had worked with Elon for years. They had seen him succeed and fail. They had watched him build electric cars and rocket ships. They had never seen him as happy as when he was with Sarah. Kimball's phone buzzed with a text message from Elon. "Tell them the wedding is off. Don't say why. I'll explain later." Kimball stopped walking. His heart started pounding. Elon had seemed so sure about Sarah. What could have changed everything in just a few hours? He walked to the microphone at the front of the garden. 200 people looked at him. Some were millionaires who had invested in Elon's companies. Some were scientists from around the world. Some were family members who had flown in from South Africa and Canada. "Ladies and gentlemen," Kimball said, his voice shaking slightly, "I have some news about today's ceremony." The crowd got quiet. Even the birds in the trees seemed to stop singing. "The wedding has been postponed. We're sorry for the confusion. Please enjoy the lunch that has been prepared for you." People started talking at once. Questions flew through the air like angry bees. Is Elon okay? What about Sarah? Did something happen to one of the families? Is this about business? Did Tesla stock crash? But Kimball walked away without answering. He couldn't answer because he didn't know the truth either. Inside the hotel restaurant, people sat at round tables covered in white cloth. The tables were set for a wedding reception that would never happen. Expensive food sat untouched as guests whispered to each other, trying to understand what was going on. Gwynne Shotwell stood up and tapped her water glass with a fork. The room got quiet. "I know we're all confused," she said in her calm, strong voice. "But Elon is like a son to me. I've known him for 20 years. If he made this choice, he had a good reason. We should respect that and support both him and Sarah." An older man in the back raised his hand. It was Walter Isaacson, the famous writer who had spent years writing a book about Elon's life. "I've known Elon for a long time," Walter said. "I've seen him make impossible choices. He once slept in his Tesla factory for months to save the company from going out of business. He once sold all his houses to put more money into SpaceX. When Elon sacrifices something he loves, it's because something bigger is at stake. But what could be bigger than love? What could be more important than the woman who made him smile like a little boy when she entered a room? What could make the man who wanted to save the world give up his own happiness?" Sarah's best friend Lisa stood up from her table. Her eyes were red from crying. "Sarah is the kindest person I know," Lisa said, her voice breaking. "She works 16 hours a day trying to help people who can't walk or talk because of brain injuries. She visits sick children in hospitals and makes them laugh when they're scared. She doesn't deserve this kind of pain." The room got even quieter. Everyone felt terrible for Sarah. But they also knew Elon wasn't a cruel person. He had given away billions of dollars to help fight climate change and explore space. He wouldn't hurt someone without a very serious reason. Maya, Sarah's sister, came into the restaurant. Her face was red and puffy from crying. She looked around at all the guests staring at her. "How is she?" Lisa asked, rushing over to Maya. "She's packing her bags," Maya said quietly. "She wants to go home to San Francisco tonight. She can't stay here." "Did Elon call her? Did he explain anything?" Maya shook her head. "He won't answer his phone. His security people won't let anyone see him. It's like he just disappeared from the face of the earth. Dr. James Weber, one of Sarah's colleagues from Stanford University, stood up from his table. "This doesn't make sense," Dr. Weber said. "I've seen Elon and Sarah together at conferences. The way he looks at her when she's giving presentations about her brain research. The way she lights up when he talks about Mars missions. They're perfect together." "Maybe that's the problem," said an older woman at another table. Maybe being perfect together scared him. But Gwen Shotwell shook her head. "No, Elon doesn't run away from things that scare him. He runs toward them. He's probably the bravest person I know." Then what happened? Someone called out. Nobody had an answer. Meanwhile, 3 floors above the restaurant, Sarah was indeed packing her bags. She folded her clothes carefully, trying to keep her hands busy so she wouldn't think about the text message. Maya sat on the bed, watching her sister try to stay strong. "Sarah, you don't have to leave tonight. You could stay a few more days. Maybe Elon will come back and explain." Sarah shook her head. "Maya, I can't stay in this hotel. Everywhere I look, I see reminders of the wedding that didn't happen. The flowers, the music, the people who came here to celebrate our love. But what if Elon is in trouble? What if he needs help?" Sarah stopped packing and sat down next to her sister. "If Elon is in trouble, there's nothing I can do about it. He made his choice. He chose to handle whatever this is without me. That doesn't sound like the Elon you've told me about." Sarah thought about all the stories she had shared with Maya over the past 2 years. How Elon had stayed up all night with her when she was working on a difficult research project. How he had flown across the country just to have dinner with her when she was feeling lonely. How he had learned about brain science so he could understand her work better. The Elon she knew would never abandon her without an explanation. Which meant either he had changed completely, or something had changed him. "Maya, do you remember the phone call last night?" "What phone call?" Around 11 p.m., Elon got a call on his special red phone. The one he only uses for the most important government business. He talked for about 20 minutes, and when he came back to bed, he seemed different. Maya leaned forward. Different how? Scared. Worried. Like someone had just told him terrible news. Sarah remembered lying in bed next to Elon after that call. He had stared at the ceiling for hours, not sleeping. At one point, she had asked him what was wrong. "Nothing you need to worry about," he had said. "Go to sleep. Tomorrow is our big day." But his voice had sounded strange. Sad. Like he was already saying goodbye. "Sarah," Maya said quietly, "what if the phone call was about something so serious that Elon had to choose between you and something else? Something bigger? Like what?" "I don't know. National security, a threat to his companies? Something that could affect millions of people?" Sarah had thought about this too. Elon's work with SpaceX meant he dealt with military contracts and government secrets. His rockets carried satellites for the Defense Department. His engineers worked on projects that ordinary people never heard about. What if someone had called him with an ultimatum? Help save the world, but give up your personal life. It sounded crazy. But then again, everything about this day was crazy. Sarah's phone rang. For a split second, her heart jumped, hoping it was Elon. But it was her mother calling from San Francisco. "Honey, I just got off the phone with the airline. I can get you on a flight tonight at 8 p.m. Maya too, if she wants to come." "Thanks, Mom. I think that's best." "Sarah, I know this hurts terribly right now, but maybe Elon will call tomorrow with an explanation. Maybe this is all some kind of misunderstanding." Sarah looked out the window at the garden below. The guests were slowly leaving. The musicians were packing up their instruments. The flowers would be thrown away tomorrow, wilted and forgotten. "I hope you're right, Mom. But I don't think I'll be hearing from Elon Musk again." As Sarah spoke those words, she had no idea how wrong she was. In a few months, her life would become connected to Elon's in ways she couldn't imagine. She would discover secrets that could change the world. She would make choices that could save or doom humanity. But right now, all she knew was that the man she loved had broken her heart for reasons she didn't understand. And that was enough heartbreak for one day. 24 hours earlier, Elon Musk was the happiest man alive. He and Sarah had just finished their rehearsal at the Four Seasons Hotel. Everything was perfect. The flowers looked beautiful. The music sounded magical. Even the weather was cooperating with clear skies and gentle breezes. They sat on the hotel balcony outside their room, sharing a bottle of wine and looking at the stars. Austin's skyline sparkled below them like scattered diamonds. "Tomorrow," Sarah said, leaning against Elon's shoulder, "I become Mrs. Musk." Elon smiled and kissed the top of her head. "Tomorrow, I become the luckiest man in the universe." They talked about their future together. Sarah wanted to have 2 children, a boy and a girl. Elon already had several children from his previous relationships, but he loved the idea of having babies with Sarah. The thought of little kids with Sarah's intelligence and kindness made him grin like a teenager. "What should we name them?" Sarah asked, playing with Elon's fingers. "Something space-related," Elon joked. "Maybe Mars and Venus." Sarah laughed and poked his ribs. "How about something normal people can pronounce? Like David and Emma?" "Deal," Elon said, pulling her closer. "But their middle names have to be space-related. David Rocket Musk and Emma Starship Musk." "You're impossible," Sarah said. But she was still laughing. They went to bed at 10 p.m., holding each other close. Elon felt peaceful for the first time in months. His companies were doing well. Tesla was making more electric cars than ever before. SpaceX was planning new missions to Mars. His brain chip company, Neuralink, was helping paralyzed people control computers with their thoughts. Everything in his life was going right. His work was succeeding. The woman he loved was about to become his wife. The future looked brighter than the rockets he sent into space. At 11:07 p.m., the red phone rang. Elon sat up in bed immediately. The red phone was different from his regular cell phone. Only 5 people in the world had the number to that phone. The President of the United States, the head of NASA, the commander of Space Force, the director of the CIA, and one other person whose identity was so secret that even Elon's closest friends didn't know about him. Sarah was still sleeping peacefully, a small smile on her face. She was probably dreaming about their wedding. Elon grabbed the red phone and walked quietly to the bathroom, closing the door behind him. "Musk here," he whispered. The voice on the other end was General Patricia Hayes, head of the United States Space Force. She sounded care, which was very unusual because General Hayes was never scared of anything. She had been a fighter pilot before becoming a general. She had flown dangerous missions in 3 different wars. "Elon, we have a code red situation. I need you to come to Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado immediately." "Tonight?" "Patricia, I'm getting married tomorrow morning. The wedding will have to wait. This is about national security, global security, maybe even human survival." Elon's blood turned cold. General Hayes didn't use words like human survival unless something truly terrible was happening. "What are you talking about? Is this about Russia? China? North Korea? I can't say over the phone, even this secure phone. We're sending a military jet to pick you up. Be on the roof of your hotel in 30 minutes. Patricia, you're scaring me. Give me something. Anything." There was a long pause. Elon could hear other voices in the background, people talking urgently about something. Then General Hayes said 3 words that changed Elon's life forever. "They are coming." The phone went dead. Elon stood in the bathroom, his heart pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. They are coming. Who was they? What did that mean? Coming from where? He looked at himself in the mirror. Tomorrow was supposed to be the best day of his life. Now it sounded like it might be one of the worst days in human history. He went back to the bedroom. Sarah was still sleeping. That same peaceful smile on her face. She looked so beautiful, so innocent. She had no idea that their perfect world was about to be destroyed. Elon wanted to wake her up and tell her everything. But he had signed papers with the government promising to keep certain secrets. Breaking that promise could put Sarah in danger. It could put a lot of people in danger. He kissed her forehead gently and whispered, "I have to go handle a business emergency. I'll be back before the wedding." Sarah opened her eyes halfway, still mostly asleep. "Is everything okay?" "Yes. Everything's fine. Go back to sleep." "I love you." "I love you too," Sarah mumbled, already drifting back to sleep. Elon put on his clothes and took the elevator to the roof. A black helicopter was waiting for him. 2 serious-looking men in military uniforms sat inside. No one said anything during the flight to Peterson Space Force Base. The base was located in Colorado, about 2 hours away from Austin by helicopter. During the flight, Elon tried to imagine what could be so important that it couldn't wait one day. Had North Korea launched a nuclear missile? Had China declared war? Had Russia attacked an American satellite? Nothing prepared him for the truth. At the base, General Hayes met him at the landing pad. With her was Dr. Marcus Webb, head of NASA, and someone Elon had never seen before. A tall, thin man in a black suit who looked like he never smiled. His face was pale and serious, like someone who dealt with terrible secrets every day. "Thank you for coming, Elon," General Hayes said. "This is Agent Thompson, from a department you've never heard of." They walked into a building deep underground. The walls were made of thick concrete. There were no windows anywhere. Armed guards stood at every door, checking IDs and scanning badges. They took an elevator down 5 floors. Then they walked through a tunnel that seemed to go on forever. Finally, they entered a room filled with computer screens and people wearing headsets, talking quietly into microphones. On the biggest screen in the room was a picture that made Elon's knees feel weak. It was a spacecraft, but not a human spacecraft. The ship was enormous, about the size of a small city. Its surface was covered in strange symbols that seemed to glow with their own light. The design was unlike anything humans had ever built. It looked both beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "We detected this 3 days ago," Dr. Webb said, pointing at the screen. "It's heading directly toward Earth. At its current speed, it will arrive in approximately 18 months. Elon stared at the screen, his mouth hanging open. "Is this real? Are you telling me that aliens exist?" Agent Thompson spoke for the first time. His voice was flat and emotionless, like a computer. "Mr. Musk, extraterrestrial life has existed for a long time. We've been tracking their signals for decades. But this is the first time one of their ships has come this close to Earth. Why are you telling me this?" General Hayes stepped forward. "Because we need your help. We need your rockets. We need your satellites. We need your engineering genius. If that ship contains hostile aliens, humanity needs to be ready to defend itself. And if the aliens aren't hostile, then we need to be ready to communicate with them. Your Starlink satellites are our best way to send messages into deep space." Elon looked at the alien ship on the screen again. It was both the most beautiful and most frightening thing he had ever seen. "How many people know about this?" "Maybe 50 people in the entire world," Agent Thompson said. "World leaders, top scientists, a few military commanders, and now you. Why keep it secret?" "Because panic would destroy human civilization faster than any alien invasion," General Hayes explained. "We need time to prepare. We need to work in secret until we know more about their intentions." Elon understood immediately. If the world knew aliens were coming, people would go completely crazy. The stock market would crash. Governments would fall. Wars would start as countries fought over resources. "What do you need me to do?" "Cancel your civilian projects. Focus everything on space defense. We need weapons satellites. We need ships that can reach that alien craft before it gets to Earth. We need communication systems that can work across the entire solar system. And I can't tell anyone, not even my wife?" Agent Thompson's cold eyes stared directly at Elon. "Especially not your wife. The fewer people who know, the safer everyone is, including her." Elon felt like the weight of the entire world had just landed on his shoulders. 8 billion people were counting on him, and they didn't even know it. The flight back to Austin felt like the longest 2 hours of his life. Chapter 4. The Impossible Choice. Elon sat in the military helicopter, staring out at the dark landscape below. Small towns passed by like dots of light in an ocean of darkness. Each light represented families sleeping peacefully in their beds, completely unaware that aliens were heading toward Earth. Everything had changed in those 2 hours at Peterson Space Force Base. Just hours ago, his biggest worry was whether the wedding flowers would look good in the photographs. Now he carried the weight of humanity's survival on his shoulders. The alien ship, they were calling it Object X, was real. The pictures were real. The threat was real. And somehow, the fate of 8 billion people depended partly on him. Agent Thompson had given him a thick folder marked Top Secret in red letters. Inside were more pictures of the alien ship, mathematical calculations about its speed and direction, and theories about what the aliens might want. Some scientists thought the aliens were explorers, just like humans exploring space. Others worried they were invaders looking for a new planet to take over. A few believed they might be refugees running from some disaster in their own part of the galaxy. Nobody knew for sure. What they did know was frightening. The alien ship was made of materials that didn't exist on Earth. It was powered by energy sources that human science couldn't understand. If the aliens wanted to hurt humanity, there probably wasn't much humans could do to stop them. Except maybe run away. We're working on evacuation plans, General Hayes had explained. Ships that could carry people to Mars or other planets. But we'd need thousands of rockets, and we'd need them built very quickly. That's where Elon came in. SpaceX was the most advanced rocket company in the world. His Starship rockets were designed to carry people to Mars. If humanity needed to escape from Earth, his rockets might be the only hope. But building thousands of rockets would take years. It would cost more money than most countries had, and it would require Elon to work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, for the rest of his life. He couldn't do that and be a good husband to Sarah. The helicopter landed on the hotel roof at 4 a.m. Elon took the elevator down to his room. Sarah was still sleeping peacefully. She looked so innocent, so beautiful. She had no idea that aliens were coming to Earth. She had no idea that her husband-to-be now carried the biggest secret in human history. Elon sat in a chair by the window and watched the sunrise paint the sky in soft colors. In 5 hours, he was supposed to marry the woman he loved. In 18 months, aliens might destroy or save human civilization. How could he choose between love and humanity? His secure phone buzzed with a text message from General Hayes. "We need your answer by 8 a.m. The project starts today or not at all." Elon looked at the text message for a long time. Then he looked at Sarah sleeping peacefully in the bed. Her wedding dress hung in the closet, waiting for the most important day of her life. If he said yes to the government, he would have to cancel the wedding. He would have to focus all his energy on building rockets and satellites. He wouldn't have time for marriage or family or normal life. If he said no, humanity might be doomed. At 6 a.m., Sarah woke up and stretched like a happy cat. "Good morning, my almost husband," she said with a sleepy smile. "How was your emergency business meeting?" Elon forced himself to smile back. "Fine. Just some boring rocket stuff. Nothing important." Sarah got out of bed and went to look at her wedding dress hanging in the closet. "I can't believe this is really happening. In 5 hours, we'll be married." Elon felt like someone was squeezing his heart with giant hands. "Sarah, can I ask you something?" "Of course, darling. If you had to choose between me and saving the world, what would you do?" Sarah laughed and sat down on the bed next to him. "That's a weird question for our wedding morning. Why would I have to choose between those things? Just imagine, if there was some terrible danger threatening everyone, and you could save millions of people but it meant we couldn't be together, what would you do?" Sarah's face became serious. She could tell that Elon wasn't joking around. "Elon, you're scaring me a little. Is something wrong? Did something happen during your meeting last night?" "Nothing's wrong. I just want to know what you would do." Sarah thought for a moment, playing with her engagement ring. "If I really could save the world, I guess I would have to try, even if it meant losing you. Because that's what love really means, right? Wanting the best for everyone, not just yourself." Elon's eyes filled with tears. Of course Sarah would say that. She was the most unselfish person he had ever met. She spent her life trying to help people with brain injuries. She volunteered at hospitals on weekends. She gave money to charities that helped sick children. If she knew about the aliens, she would tell him to help save humanity, even if it meant breaking her heart. "But Elon," Sarah continued, taking his hand, "real love finds a way. If we're meant to be together, we'll figure out how to save the world and stay together at the same time." Elon wished that was true. But Agent Thompson had been very clear. This project would require total secrecy and total commitment. No distractions, no divided attention, no normal life. "Besides," Sarah said, kissing his cheek, "you're already saving the world with your electric cars and space rockets. You don't need to choose between me and helping people. You can do both, if only it were that simple." At 7 a.m., Elon got another text message from General Hayes. 1 hour left. We need an answer. Sarah was in the shower, getting ready for their wedding. Elon could hear her singing a happy song. She was so excited to become his wife. She had been planning this day for months. Elon picked up his phone and started typing a message to General Hayes. I accept. I'll help save humanity. Then he deleted it without sending. He typed another message. I decline. I choose love over duty. Then he deleted that one too. He thought about his children from his previous relationships. XAAX12, Griffin, Xavier, Damien, Saxon, Kai, and the others. What kind of father would he be if he let aliens destroy their future? What would they think of him if they found out he could have helped save the world, but chose not to? He thought about all the people who worked for his companies. The engineers at SpaceX who dreamed of going to Mars. The workers at Tesla, who believed they were helping save Earth from climate change. The scientists at Neuralink who wanted to cure brain diseases. What about all the children who hadn't been born yet? All the art and music and love that would never exist if humanity was destroyed? But then he thought about Sarah's smile. The way she laughed at his terrible jokes. The way she held his hand when they watched rocket launches together. The way she made him feel like he was more than just a businessman or inventor. She made him feel human. At 7:45 a.m., Elon made his choice. He typed one word and hit send. Yes. Immediately his phone rang. General Hayes sounded relieved. Thank you, Elon. You're doing the right thing. History will remember you as a hero. I don't feel like a hero, Elon said quietly. I feel like I'm about to destroy the best thing in my life. Sometimes being a hero means making terrible sacrifices. We'll start the project today. You need to cancel all your civilian commitments immediately. Elon hung up the phone. Sarah was still singing in the shower, probably thinking about their honeymoon trip to New Zealand. In 1 hour, 200 people would gather in the garden to watch them get married. Instead, they would watch Elon break Sarah's heart to save the world. He picked up his regular phone one more time and typed the hardest message he had ever written. I can't do this. The wedding is off. I'm sorry. He stared at the message for 30 seconds. His finger hovered over the send button. Should he add more explanation? Should he tell her he loved her? Should he try to make her understand without revealing the secret? No. The fewer words, the better. The less he said, the less chance there was of accidentally venting classified information. He hit send before he could change his mind. Then Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, sat down on his hotel room floor and cried. Sarah read the text message 5 times before it felt real. Then she read it 5 more times, hoping the words would somehow change. They didn't. She sat on the edge of the hotel bed in her wedding dress, holding the phone like it was a bomb about to explode. Outside, she could hear the wedding guests arriving. Cars pulling up to the hotel. People laughing and talking. They had no idea their celebration was about to become a tragedy. Maya knocked on the door.
Sarah? The photographer is here. Are you ready for pictures?
Sarah couldn't speak. She just opened the door and showed Maya the phone. Maya read the message and gasped. What? Why? What happened? I don't know, Sarah whispered. He won't answer my calls. But Sarah was thinking about the past few weeks. Small things that hadn't seemed important at the time. Elon taking more phone calls than usual. Secret meetings that he couldn't tell her about. Times when he seemed worried or distracted. I need to find him, Sarah said. She changed out of her wedding dress and put on jeans and a t-shirt. Maya tried to stop her. Sarah, maybe you should wait. Maybe he just needs some time to think. No, Sarah said firmly. Something is very wrong. I can feel it. They took the elevator down to Elon's floor. 2 large security guards stood outside his room. The bigger guard shook his head. I'm sorry, Dr. Chen. Mr. Musk gave strict instructions. No visitors. I'm not a visitor, I'm supposed to be his wife. The guard looked uncomfortable. I'm really sorry, but I have my orders. Sarah felt anger rising in her chest. Yesterday, these same guards had called her Mrs. Musk and smiled at her. Today, they were treating her like a stranger. Fine, Sarah said. If he won't see me, I'll wait. Sarah, this is crazy. Come back to your room. No, I'm not leaving until he talks to me. Hours passed. Sarah could hear sounds from inside the room. Elon talking on the phone. The television turned a news channel, but he never came out. At 2 p.m., the bigger security guard's phone rang. He talked quietly, then walked over to Sarah. "Dr. Chen, I have some news. Mr. Musk has checked out of the hotel. He's gone." Sarah felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. "Gone where?" "I don't know, ma'am. I'm sorry." Sarah and Maya went back to Sarah's room. Sarah's suitcases were packed. Her wedding dress hung in the closet like a ghost. "I need to go home," Sarah said. "Sarah, wait. Let's think about this. Maybe there's something we're missing." But Sarah was already calling the airline to change her flight. She wanted to get as far away from Austin as possible. The flight to San Francisco felt endless. Sarah stared out the window at the clouds and tried to understand what had happened. 24 hours ago, she was the happiest woman alive. Now she felt like her world had ended. When she got home to her apartment in Palo Alto, Sarah did something she had never done before. She started investigating Elon like he was a suspect in a crime. She opened her laptop and began searching the internet. News about Elon, articles about his companies, rumors and gossip. Anything that might explain why he had abandoned her. She found nothing unusual. Tesla stock was doing well. SpaceX had successfully launched 3 rockets that month. Neuralink was making progress on brain chip technology. Everything seemed normal in Elon's business world. But then Sarah remembered something. She was a scientist. She knew how to dig deeper than internet gossip. Sarah had friends who worked for NASA. She had contacts at other space companies. She had gone to college with people who now worked for the government. She started making phone calls. "Hi, Jennifer. It's Sarah Chen. I have a strange question. Have you heard anything unusual happening in the space world lately?" Jennifer worked for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. She and Sarah had been roommates in graduate school. "What do you mean by unusual?" Jennifer asked. "I don't know. Secret meetings, emergency projects, anything that might explain why someone would cancel their wedding at the last minute." There was a long pause. "Sarah, why are you asking this?" Sarah told Jennifer the whole story. About the wedding, about the text message, about Elon's strange behavior. "Jennifer, I need to know. Is there something happening that I don't know about?" Another long pause. "Sarah, I can't talk about this over the phone, but if you really want to know the truth, come to JPL tomorrow. Ask for Dr. Maria Santos in the Deep Space Network Division. Tell her you're working on a project about SETI signals." SETI stood for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. It was a program that looked for radio signals from alien civilizations. "Jennifer, what aren't you telling me? Just trust me. Talk to Dr. Santos." "But Sarah, be careful. Some truths are dangerous to know." Sarah hung up the phone with her heart racing. Aliens? Was Jennifer talking about aliens? The next morning, Sarah drove to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena. JPL was one of the most famous space research centers in the world. They had sent robots to Mars and spacecraft to Jupiter. If anyone knew about alien signals, it would be them. Dr. Maria Santos was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She invited Sarah into her office and closed the door. "Jennifer told me you might be coming," Dr. Santos said. "She said you're asking questions about space anomalies." "Dr. Santos, I'm going to be honest with you. My fiancé canceled our wedding yesterday. With no explanation. He's been acting strange for weeks. A friend suggested there might be something happening in the space community that I don't know about." Dr. Santos studied Sarah's face for a long moment. "Your fiancé, what's his name?" "Elon Musk." Dr. Santos's eyes went wide. "Oh my. Oh dear. You know something, don't you?" Dr. Santos got up and checked that her office door was locked. Then she sat back down and leaned forward. "Dr. Chen, what I'm about to tell you could get me fired. Or worse. But I think you deserve to know the truth." Sarah's hands started shaking. "What truth?" 3 days ago, our deep space monitoring systems detected something extraordinary. An object moving toward Earth from outside our solar system. An object that is definitely not natural. Sarah felt the room spinning around her. "You mean, we are not alone in the universe. And whoever built that object will be here in less than 2 years." Sarah couldn't breathe properly. Aliens were real. They were coming to Earth. And somehow this is connected to Elon canceling their wedding. Dr. Santos, how many people know about this? Very few. Government officials, top military leaders, a handful of scientists and engineers, and business leaders, CEOs, only if they have something the government needs, like rockets, or satellites, or the ability to help humanity survive, Sarah finished quietly. Dr. Santos nodded sadly. I'm sorry, Dr. Chen. I think your fiancé was recruited to help save the world, and I think he was told that he couldn't have any distractions. No personal life, no relationships. Sarah started crying, not because Elon had left her, but because she finally understood he hadn't stopped loving her. He had sacrificed their love to save humanity. Dr. Santos, Sarah said through her tears, I need to help too. 2 weeks after the canceled wedding, Elon stood in a room that didn't exist on any government building plans. The underground war room, as everyone called it, was located 200 feet beneath Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado. The room was huge, like an airplane hangar, but filled with computer screens, satellite dishes, and people working at desks. Giant monitors on the walls showed pictures of space, tracking Object X as it moved closer to Earth every day. Every day, the alien ship got a little bit closer. Every day, the countdown to contact got shorter. Elon hadn't slept more than 3 hours a night since his wedding day. He was designing new rockets, upgrading satellites, and planning humanity's defense against the unknown. His beard was longer than usual. His clothes were wrinkled. He looked like a man carrying the weight of the world. Because he was. Musk, we need to talk, said General Hayes, walking up to his workstation. Elon looked up from his computer screen. He was designing a new type of spacecraft, something that could intercept Object X before it reached Earth. What's the latest? Elon asked. We've made a breakthrough with the alien signals. Dr. Park thinks she's decoded part of their message. Dr. Lisa Park was a linguistics expert from MIT who specialized in communication with non-human intelligence. She had spent years studying dolphin language and computer codes. Now she was trying to understand alien communications. They walked to Dr. Park's workstation. She was a young Korean-American woman with thick glasses and coffee-stained notebooks scattered everywhere. Show him what you found, General Hayes said. Dr. Park pulled up a computer program that looked like a music player, but instead of songs, it showed alien radio signals. The signals from Object X aren't random, Dr. Park explained. They follow patterns, mathematical patterns. Look at this. She played a section of the alien transmission. To Elon, it sounded like static mixed with whale songs. But Dr. Park pointed to the screen where the computer had turned the sounds into numbers. These numbers represent prime numbers. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. Prime numbers are the same everywhere in the universe. Any intelligent species would know them. So they're trying to communicate, Elon asked? More than that, they're trying to prove they're intelligent. This is their way of saying, hello, we're smart too. General Hayes leaned forward. What else did you find? Dr. Park pulled up another section. This part is more complex, but I think it's mathematical formulas, physics equations, the kind of math you'd need to build spacecraft or travel between stars. They're showing off, Elon said, proving how advanced they are. Maybe. Or maybe they're trying to teach us something. Agent Thompson appeared behind them like a shadow. He always seemed to show up at the worst times. Dr. Park, have you decoded their intentions yet? Are they hostile? Dr. Park shook her head. I need more time. Language is complicated, even human language. Alien language is like trying to solve a puzzle where you don't know what the picture is supposed to look like. Elon studied the alien signals on the computer screen. As a child, he had dreamed about meeting aliens. He had read science fiction books and watched movies about contact with other worlds. But the reality was scarier and more complicated than any story. How much time do we have? Elon asked General Hayes. At their current speed, Object X will reach Earth's orbit in 16 months and 12 days. 16 months. Elon thought about all the things he needed to build in 16 months. Defensive satellites, evacuation rockets, communication systems. It seemed impossible. His phone buzzed with a text message from his brother Kimball. Haven't heard from you since the wedding disaster. Are you okay? Elon stared at the message. He missed his family. He missed his normal life. Most of all, he missed Sarah, but he couldn't respond. Any communication with the outside world was monitored by Agent Thompson's people. Elon couldn't risk accidentally revealing the alien secret. He deleted Kimball's message without responding. Musk, Agent Thompson said, we need to discuss the Mars evacuation plan. They walked to a different section of the war room, where a huge map of the solar system covered an entire wall. Red lines showed possible escape routes from Earth to Mars, Jupiter's moons, and other planets. If Object X turns out to be hostile, Agent Thompson explained, we need to get as many humans off Earth as possible. Your Starship rockets are our best option. Elon studied the map. Each Starship can carry about 100 people to Mars. To evacuate 1 million people, we'd need 10,000 rockets. That would take years to build. Then we start with the most important people: scientists, engineers, world leaders, people who could rebuild human civilization on another planet. Elon felt sick to his stomach. You're talking about abandoning billions of people. We're talking about survival of the species. Agent Thompson said coldly. Sometimes leaders have to make impossible choices, just like the choice Elon had made on his wedding day. Leave Sarah to save humanity. Choose duty over love. Choose the many over the one. There's another option, said a voice behind them. They turned around. It was Dr. Elena Vasquez, a physicist from Caltech who specialized in energy weapons. What option? General Hayes asked. We fight back. We build weapons that can destroy Object X before it gets close to Earth. Agent Thompson shook his head. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. It would be like cavemen trying to fight jet airplanes. Maybe, Dr. Vasquez said. But even advanced aliens have to follow the laws of physics. If we can hit their ship with enough nuclear weapons, we might be able to damage it. Elon looked at the alien ship on the monitor. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. Destroying it would be like burning down the Mona Lisa. But if it meant saving Earth, how many nuclear weapons would we need? Elon asked. Every weapon on Earth, Dr. Vasquez said. American weapons, Russian weapons, Chinese weapons. All of them launched at the same time. The world would never agree to that, General Hayes said. They would if they knew the truth, Dr. Vasquez replied. But that was the problem. The truth was too big, too scary. If 8 billion people knew aliens were coming, panic would destroy civilization before the aliens even arrived. Elon's secure phone rang. Only 5 people had that number, and 4 of them were in this room. Hello? Elon answered. Elon, this is Dr. Sarah Chen. Elon's heart stopped beating. Sarah? How did you get this number? That's not important. What's important is that I know about Object X. I know about the aliens. And I know why you canceled our wedding. The room went completely silent. Agent Thompson's face turned white with anger. Sarah can't talk about this. Elon, I'm a neuroscientist. I work with brain-computer interfaces. If aliens really are coming to Earth, you're gonna need my help. Sarah, I'm at the front gate of Peterson Space Force Base. Either you let me in, or I go to the news media and tell them everything I know. Agent Thompson grabbed the phone from Elon. Dr. Chen, this is Agent Thompson. What you're suggesting is treason. No, Sarah said, her voice strong and clear. What I'm suggesting is that you stop treating me like a security risk and start treating me like a scientist who can help save the world. Agent Thompson hung up the phone. She's bluffing. She doesn't really know anything. But Elon knew Sarah better than anyone. She wasn't bluffing. Somehow she had figured out the truth. And knowing Sarah, she had probably figured out more than the government wanted her to know. We have to let her in, Elon said. Absolutely not. Agent Thompson, Sarah Chen is one of the smartest people I know. If aliens have advanced brain technology, we need someone who understands how brains work. General Hayes looked thoughtful. What exactly does Dr. Chen do? She builds brain-computer interfaces, devices that let people control computers with their thoughts. If the aliens communicate through some kind of mental connection, Sarah might be the only person who can understand them. Agent Thompson still looked angry, but General Hayes was nodding. Bring her in, General Hayes said. But she signs the same secrecy agreements as everyone else. And she doesn't leave this base until the crisis is over. 30 minutes later, Sarah walked into the underground war room. She looked around at the massive space, the computer screens, the maps of alien spacecraft. Then she looked at Elon. "Hello, Elon." "Hello, Sarah." They stood there for a moment, not knowing what to say. 2 weeks ago, they were supposed to be married. Now they were standing in a secret government facility, trying to save the world from aliens. "I'm sorry," Elon said quietly. "I'm sorry about the wedding. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you the truth." Sarah walked closer to him. "I understand why you did it. But next time we face the end of the world, we face it together. Despite everything." Elon smiled. "Next time?" "Elon, I've been thinking about this for 2 weeks. You didn't leave me because you stopped loving me. You left me because you love everyone. You chose to save 8 billion people instead of making one person happy. That's not cruelty. That's heroism." Agent Thompson cleared his throat. "This is very touching, but we have work to do. Dr. Chen, you'll need to sign these documents before we can share classified information." Sarah signed the papers without reading them. "Now show me everything. Show me the alien." Sarah spent her first day in the underground war room learning everything the government knew about Object X. She studied the alien signals with Dr. Park. She examined the spacecraft photos with NASA engineers. She read reports from physicists and military experts. But Sarah approached the problem differently than everyone else. While the other scientists focused on the aliens' technology, Sarah focused on their minds. "You're all thinking about this wrong," Sarah said during a meeting on her second day. "You're treating this like a military problem or an engineering problem. But first, it's a communication problem." General Hayes looked puzzled. "What do you mean?" "The aliens have been sending radio signals for 3 days. Not random signals. Organized messages. That means they want to communicate. They want us to understand them." Agent Thompson shook his head. "Or they're scanning our defenses, learning our weaknesses before they attack. If they wanted to attack us, why warn us they're coming?" Sarah asked. "A surprise attack would be much more effective." Dr. Park nodded excitedly. "Sarah's right. In every signal we've decoded, they seem to be trying to teach us things. Math, physics, even what might be chemistry formulas." Sarah pulled up a chair to Dr. Park's computer station. "Show me the latest transmission." Dr. Park played a section of alien signals that had arrived that morning. Like all the others, it sounded like a mixture of musical tones and mathematical patterns. Sarah listened with her eyes closed, concentrating. As a brain scientist, she had spent years studying how the human mind processes information. She knew that intelligence, whether human or alien, followed certain patterns. "Play it again," Sarah said. "But this time, slow it down by half." Dr. Park adjusted the computer settings. The alien sounds became deeper and longer, like a record player running too slowly. "Now speed it up by double." The sounds became higher and faster, like cartoon characters talking. Sarah opened her eyes. It's not just one message, it's multiple messages, layered on top of each other. "What do you mean?" Elon asked. He had been watching Sarah work, amazed by how quickly she understood things that had puzzled other scientists for days. "Think about human conversation," Sarah explained. "When you talk to someone, you're not just saying words. You're also communicating with your tone of voice, your facial expressions, your body language, multiple channels of information at the same time. So the aliens are doing the same thing?" "Exactly, but instead of facial expressions, they're using different radio frequencies. Let me try to separate the channels." Sarah and Dr. Park worked together for hours, using computer programs to split the alien transmission into different parts. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. "Look at this," Sarah said, pointing to her computer screen. "Channel 1 contains mathematical information. Channel 2 has what looks like star maps. Channel 3, she paused, studying the numbers on her screen. Channel 3 is different. The patterns are more complex, more emotional." "Emotional?" Agent Thompson said. "How can numbers be emotional?" Sarah turned to face the group that had gathered around her workstation. "In my research on brain-computer interfaces, I've learned that thoughts and emotions create specific patterns in the brain. Happiness creates one pattern. Fear creates another. Love creates another. And you think the aliens are transmitting emotional patterns? I think they're trying to tell us how they feel, what they want, what they're afraid of. Elon leaned closer to the computer screen. What do the patterns say? Sarah worked for another hour, running the alien emotional data through programs she had designed for reading human brainwaves. Slowly, a picture began to form. "Oh my God," Sarah whispered. "What is it?" General Hayes asked. Sarah's hands were shaking. "They're not coming to invade us. They're coming to warn us." The room went silent. "Warn us about what?" Elon asked. Sarah pulled up a different computer program. According to their emotional patterns, the aliens are terrified. They're broadcasting fear, urgency, and sadness. Sadness? The kind of sadness you feel when you're trying to save someone, but you might be too late. Agent Thompson looked skeptical. "Dr. Chen, you're making a lot of assumptions based on very little data." "Then let me get more data," Sarah said. "Let me try to communicate back to them." Everyone started talking at once. The idea of sending messages to aliens was exciting and terrifying. "That could be dangerous," Agent Thompson said. "We don't know what we might accidentally tell them about our defenses." "We don't have defenses," Sarah replied. "If they wanted to hurt us, we couldn't stop them anyway. But if they want to help us, we're wasting precious time." Elon stood up. "I agree with Sarah. We need to try communicating." General Hayes looked around the room. "Dr. Park, is it technically possible to send a return message?" "Yes, using the Deep Space Network. We have powerful radio transmitters that can reach anywhere in the solar system." "What would we say?" Sarah had been thinking about this all day. "We start simple. We send back the same mathematical sequences they sent us. Prove that we understood their message. Then we try to send our own emotional patterns." "How do we create emotional patterns?" Dr. Park asked. Sarah smiled. "We use the same technology I developed for paralyzed patients. Brain-computer interfaces that can read thoughts and emotions directly from the human mind." That night, Sarah worked with a team of engineers to modify her brain-reading equipment for space communication. Instead of helping paralyzed people control computers, they would help humans talk to aliens. The next morning, they were ready for the first attempt at interstellar communication in human history. Sarah sat in a chair with electrodes attached to her head. The electrodes would read her brain waves and convert them into radio signals that could be transmitted to Object X. "What should I think about?" Sarah asked. "Start with something simple," Dr. Park suggested. "Peace. Friendship. Welcome." Sarah closed her eyes and concentrated on feeling peaceful and friendly. She imagined meeting the aliens and shaking hands with them. She imagined showing them around Earth, introducing them to human culture, learning about their world. The computer converted her thoughts into mathematical patterns, then into radio waves. Within seconds, the message was traveling through space toward the alien ship. "Now we wait," General Hayes said. They didn't have to wait long. Dr. Park played the alien response for everyone to hear. It sounded like a child trying to copy a song they had just learned. "What are they saying?" Sarah ran the alien emotional data through her computer programs. The results made her cry. "They're saying, 'Thank you.' They're saying they've been alone for a very long time. And they're saying, they're sorry they're too late." "Too late for what?" Elon asked. "What's happening?" General Hayes shouted. A young technician ran up to them. "Ma'am, we're detecting a massive energy surge from deep space. Something is heading toward our solar system. Something much bigger than Object X." They all turned to look at the main monitor. A new image appeared on the screen. Another spacecraft. But this one was different. Darker, more angular. Instead of the smooth, beautiful curves of Object X, this ship looked like a weapon. "Object Y," Agent Thompson said grimly. "And it's moving much faster than Object X." Sarah stared at the new ship on the screen. Suddenly, everything made sense. The aliens on Object X weren't coming to invade Earth. They were coming to defend it. "We need to talk to them again," Sarah said urgently. "Right now. We need to find out what Object Y is and how much time we have." The mood in the underground war room changed completely after the discovery of Object Y. The new alien ship was 3 times larger than Object X and moving twice as fast. Computer calculations showed it would reach Earth in only 8 months. "This changes everything," General Hayes announced to the emergency meeting. Representatives from every major country had arrived at Peterson Space Force Base within 12. The American president, the Russian premier, the Chinese chairman, and leaders from around the world sat around a table that had never hosted such an important discussion. Sarah stood next to a large screen showing both alien ships. Object X appeared friendly, with smooth lines and glowing symbols. Object Y looked like a massive weapon, dark and threatening. Dr. Chen, said President Martinez, explain what you've learned from communicating with Object X. Sarah had been awake for 30 straight hours, but her voice was clear and strong. The beings on Object X call themselves the Keepers. They've been traveling through space for thousands of years, trying to warn younger civilizations about a threat they call the Devourers. The Devourers? Asked Premier Volkov, from Russia. The beings on Object Y. According to the Keepers, the Devourers travel from planet to planet, consuming all life and resources before moving on to the next world. Chairman Li from China leaned forward. How many planets have they destroyed? Hundreds, maybe thousands. The Keepers are survivors from one of those worlds. They escaped when their planet was destroyed, and they've been trying to help other civilizations ever since. The room was silent as world leaders absorbed this information. So we're facing an alien invasion, said General Hayes. Yes, but we're not facing it alone, Sarah replied. The Keepers want to help us fight. Agent Thompson looked skeptical. How do we know we can trust them? This could be an elaborate trick. Good aliens and bad aliens working together to make us lower our defenses. Elon spoke up. Because they've given us proof. He walked to the computer and pulled up files that had arrived from Object X during the night. The Keepers sent us detailed information about Devourer technology. Weapon specifications, ship designs, battle tactics. If they wanted to invade us, they wouldn't give us information that could help us fight them. President Martinez studied the alien data on the screen. What kind of weapons do these Devourers have? Dr. Elena Vasquez, the weapons expert, had been analyzing the Keeper information all night. Their ships are powered by antimatter engines. They have energy weapons that can destroy entire cities. Their hulls are made of materials we don't even have names for. What about their weaknesses? Asked Premier Volkov. According to the Keepers, Devourers are vulnerable to coordinated attacks using nuclear weapons, but we'd need perfect timing and overwhelming force. Sarah pulled up another file from the Keepers. There's something else. The Devourers aren't just destroying planets for resources. They're collecting biological samples, DNA from every species they encounter. Why? Asked Chairman Li. The Keepers aren't sure, but they think the Devourers are building some kind of biological weapon, something that could destroy life on multiple planets at once. The implications were terrifying. If the Devourers succeeded on Earth, they wouldn't just destroy humanity. They would use human DNA to create weapons that could destroy other civilizations across the galaxy. President Martinez stood up. What do the Keepers propose we do? Elon activated another presentation. They want to combine their technology with our nuclear weapons. Create hybrid weapons that are more powerful than anything humans or Keepers could build separately. How long do we have to prepare? Asked Premier Volkov. 7 months and 23 days until Object Y reaches Earth's orbit, General Hayes replied. Can we build enough weapons in that time? Dr. Vasquez shook her head. Not with conventional manufacturing. We'd need to convert every factory on Earth to weapons production. And we'd need cooperation from every nuclear power. What about evacuation? Asked Chairman Li. Can we get people off Earth? Elon had been dreading this question. My Starship rockets can carry people to Mars, but not very many. In 7 months, we might be able to evacuate 50,000 people. That's not even 1% of 1% of Earth's population. The math was brutal. There wasn't enough time to save everyone. There might not be enough time to save anyone. There is another option, Sarah said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. The Keepers have offered to take human volunteers aboard their ship, not to evacuate, but to help in the fight. They need human pilots, human engineers, human soldiers. Agent Thompson immediately objected. Absolutely not. We're not sending our people onto alien ships. Why not? Sarah asked. The Keepers understand Devourer technology better than we do. If we're going to win this war, we need to learn from them. President Martinez looked thoughtful. How many volunteers would they take? 500. Scientists, engineers, military pilots, people who could learn their technology quickly and help coordinate the defense of Earth. It's a suicide mission, Agent Thompson said. Maybe, Sarah replied. But if we don't try everything, Earth dies anyway. Elon realized what Sarah was suggesting. You want to volunteer, don't you? Sarah nodded. My brain-computer interface technology might be crucial for communicating with Keeper equipment. And if humans are going to work with aliens, we need someone who understands how different minds process information. I won't let you do it, Elon said immediately. It's not your choice, Sarah replied firmly. I'm a scientist. This is the most important scientific mission in human history. The room erupted in arguments. Some leaders thought sending humans to Object X was too dangerous. Others believed it was their only hope. Some worried it was a trap. Others worried they would miss their only chance for help. President Martinez called for quiet. We need time to consider all options. But first, I want to know more about these Keeper beings. Dr. Chen, can you arrange another communication session? Yes. They've been waiting for our response. 2 hours later, Sarah was back in the communication chair with electrodes attached to her head. This time, representatives from every major country watched as she prepared to have humanity's most important conversation. What should I ask them? Sarah said. Ask them about their species. President Martinez suggested. Ask them what they look like, how they think, what they want. Sarah closed her eyes and concentrated. Instead of sending emotional patterns, she tried to transmit curiosity and questions. She imagined meeting the Keepers face to face. She imagined asking them about their history, their culture, their hopes for the future. The response came back in less than an hour. But instead of radio signals, Object X transmitted something unprecedented. Images. The main screen in the war room filled with pictures transmitted across space. The first image showed a planet covered in blue oceans and purple vegetation. Beautiful crystal cities reflected sunlight like prisms. Flying creatures that looked like living rainbows soared through lavender skies. Their homeworld, Sarah whispered. Before the Devourers came, the next image showed the same planet after the attack. The oceans were black. The cities were ruins. The sky was dark with smoke and ash. Nothing lived. Then came pictures of the Keepers themselves. They were taller than humans, with elongated limbs and skin that changed color based on their emotions. They had large eyes that seemed infinitely sad. They looked fragile and beautiful, like living flowers. The final image was the most powerful. It showed Keeper children learning about other species in the galaxy. Pictures of humans, dolphins, trees, birds. The Keeper children pointed at the images with excitement and wonder. They're teachers, Sarah said, tears streaming down her face. They travel the galaxy not to conquer, but to learn about life, to preserve knowledge before the Devourers destroy it. President Martinez stared at the images. And now they're trying to save us. What do we tell them? Asked Premier Volkov. Sarah looked around the room at the most powerful leaders on Earth. Then she looked at Elon, the man she loved. The man who had sacrificed their happiness to save the world. We tell them yes, Sarah said. We tell them that humanity chooses to fight. And we tell them that some of us are ready to join them among the stars. Agent Thompson started to object, but President Martinez held up his hand. Dr. Chen is right. If we're going to save Earth, we need to take risks. The question is who goes with the Keepers and who stays to defend our planet. Sarah and Elon looked at each other across the room. Both of them knew they were about to make another impossible choice. But this time, they would make it together. The call for volunteers went out to every space agency, military branch, and research institution in the world. 500 humans would join the Keepers aboard Object X to learn alien technology and help coordinate Earth's defense. The response was overwhelming. Within 48 hours, over 10,000 people had applied. Astronauts from NASA, cosmonauts from Russia, pilots from air forces around the world, scientists from every field, engineers who had built rockets and satellites, even ordinary people who just wanted to help save their planet. Sarah and Elon sat in the selection committee room, reviewing applications with military and scientific leaders from around the world. Look at this one, said Colonel Janet Morrison, a former space shuttle commander. She held up an application from Dr. James Okafor, a physicist from Nigeria, who had designed new types of solar panels. He speaks 6 languages and has degrees in both engineering and xenobiology. Xenobiology? Asked General Hayes. The study of alien life? It was a theoretical field until last week, Colonel Morrison replied. Now it's the most important science in the world. Sarah reviewed another application. Maria Santos, a pilot from Mexico who had flown dangerous rescue missions in hurricanes. Military experience, engineering background, and she's fluent in Spanish, English, and Mandarin. Communication will be crucial, Elon agreed. If humans and keepers are going to work together, we need people who can bridge different cultures. The selection process took 3 days. They chose astronauts and pilots, scientists and engineers, doctors and communication specialists. People from every continent, every background, every field of expertise that might help in humanity's greatest challenge. Sarah's name was at the top of the volunteer list. As the person who had first communicated with the keepers, she was the obvious choice to lead the human delegation. But Elon hadn't agreed to let her go. Sarah, please reconsider, Elon said, as they walked through the corridors of the space base. We don't know what conditions are like on an alien ship. We don't know if the technology is safe for humans. We don't know if Earth will be safe either, Sarah replied. Elon, this is what I trained for my whole life. Brain-computer interfaces, communication between different types of minds. If humans and aliens are going to work together, someone needs to understand how both species think. They stopped walking and faced each other in the empty hallway. I can't lose you again, Elon said quietly. I gave up our wedding to save the world. If I lose you to save the world too, what's the point of saving it? Sarah took his hands in hers. The point is that 8 billion people get to wake up tomorrow. The point is that human children get to grow up and fall in love and have dreams. The point is that everything beautiful about humanity continues to exist. What about our future? What about the life we were going to build together? Elon, look around. Look at what's happening. The greatest crisis in human history, and we're both at the center of it. We're both trying to save everyone we love. If we survive this, if humanity survives this, we'll build something even more beautiful than we originally planned. Elon wanted to argue more, but he knew Sarah was right. She had always been the brave one in their relationship. When they visited sick children in hospitals, Sarah would sit with them for hours, while Elon felt awkward and sad. When they saw homeless people on the street, Sarah would stop to talk with them while Elon just donated money. She was brave in ways that he wasn't. If you're going, Elon said finally, then I'm going too. Sarah shook her head immediately. No. Earth needs you here. Earth needs your rockets, your satellites, your engineering genius. You have to stay and build the defenses. Sarah. Besides, Sarah said with a small smile, someone has to be ready to evacuate people if our plan fails. Your rockets might be humanity's last hope. They were interrupted by Colonel Morrison's voice over the intercom system. All selected volunteers report to Briefing Room Alpha immediately. Departure is in 6 hours. 6 hours. Sarah felt her heart racing. In 6 hours, she would leave Earth to join an alien Lysius and help fight a war among the stars. The briefing room was filled with the 500 humans who would make the journey to Object X. Sarah looked around at faces from every country on Earth. Young and old, men and women, people of every race and background. The best and bravest humans that Earth could offer. General Hayes stood at the front of the room with a keeper communication device. The aliens had sent detailed instructions for the transfer process. The keepers will use their transport ships to bring you aboard Object X. General Hayes explained. The journey will take approximately 4 hours. Once aboard the keeper ship, you'll undergo medical examination to ensure that human physiology is compatible with their environment. Dr. Park raised her hand. What if we're not compatible? The keepers have been studying our biology based on the information we've shared. They believe humans and keepers can work together safely, but they want to be careful. Colonel Morrison stood up. What's our mission once we're aboard? Your primary objective is to learn keeper technology as quickly as possible. Weapon systems, communication devices, defensive strategies. Everything the keepers know about fighting the Devourers. Sarah raised her hand. What about long-term planning? If we win this battle, what happens next? General Hayes paused. Dr. Chen, the Keepers have indicated that the Devourers are part of a much larger threat. Even if we defeat the ships coming to Earth, there are more Devourer fleets throughout the galaxy. The war might last for decades. The room became very quiet. Everyone understood what that meant. The volunteers might never return to Earth. They might spend the rest of their lives fighting aliens among the stars. Does anyone want to withdraw their volunteer status? General Hayes asked. No one moved. 500 humans had made their choice. They would leave their families, their homes, their planet to save humanity. After the briefing, Sarah had 2 hours to prepare for departure. She packed a small bag with personal items, photos of her family, a necklace that had belonged to her grandmother, a letter from her sister Maya. Elon found her in her temporary quarters, staring out the window at the stars. Having second thoughts? He asked. No. But I am scared. Good. Being scared means you understand how dangerous this is. Sarah turned away from the window to look at him. Elon, if something happens to me, nothing will happen to you. But if it does, I want you to know that canceling our wedding was the right choice. I was angry at first, but now I understand. You put humanity first. That's what heroes do. Elon sat down next to her on the small bed. Sarah, can I tell you something I've never told anyone? Of course. When I was a child, I used to have nightmares about the end of the world. Climate change, nuclear war, asteroid impacts. I was terrified that humans would destroy themselves before we could spread to other planets. Is that why you started SpaceX? To give humanity a backup planet? Partly. But also because I believe that life is precious. Consciousness is precious. The ability to love and create and dream is the most important thing in the universe. When I canceled our wedding, I wasn't just saving 8 billion human lives. I was saving 8 billion human souls. Sarah kissed him gently. And now I'm going to help save billions more. Keeper souls, and the souls of species we haven't even met yet. Promise me you'll come back. I promise I'll try. At exactly 6 p.m., the volunteers assembled on the roof of Peterson Space Force Base. In the dark sky above them, small lights appeared. The Keeper transport ships, descending through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Sarah stood with the other volunteers, watching the alien ships approach. Next to her stood Dr. Okafor, the physicist from Nigeria. On her other side was Maria Santos, the pilot from Mexico. Behind her were 4,907 other humans ready to risk everything for their species. Elon stood with the group of people who would remain on Earth. Engineers and scientists who would build humanity's defenses. Military leaders who would coordinate the battle. World leaders who would keep civilization functioning during the crisis. The Keeper ships landed silently on the roof. They were smaller than Sarah had expected. Each one designed to carry about 50 humans. The ships looked like they were made of living crystal, glowing with soft blue light. Doors opened in the sides of the ships. No sound came out, just gentle light that seemed to welcome the human volunteers. Sarah walked toward her assigned ship. As she reached the doorway, she turned back to look at Elon one more time. I love you, she called out. I love you too, he replied. Save the galaxy and come home to me. Sarah smiled and stepped aboard the alien ship. The door closed behind her with a soft musical sound. Inside, the ship was even more beautiful than the outside. The walls seemed to be made of flowing water mixed with starlight. Soft music played from somewhere. Music that sounded like a combination of classical symphony and whale songs. And then Sarah saw her first keeper. The alien being was tall and graceful, with skin that shifted between blue and silver. Its large eyes seemed to contain infinite wisdom and sadness. When it looked at Sarah, she felt a sense of recognition, as if they had known each other for years. The Keeper didn't speak with words. Instead, it communicated directly with Sarah's mind, using technology similar to her brain-computer interfaces. Welcome, Sarah Chen, the Keeper said inside her thoughts. We have been waiting for you. Together, we will try to save both our peoples. As the ship lifted off from Earth, Sarah watched through a crystal window as her home planet grew smaller below them. Somewhere down there, Elon was working to build humanity's defenses. Somewhere down there, 8 billion people were living their lives. unaware that their fate was being decided among the stars. The real war was about to begin. 3 months after Sarah joined the Keepers aboard Object X, everything changed. Sarah had spent those months learning alien technology that seemed like magic compared to human science. Keeper computers that responded to thoughts instead of touch. Weapons that could bend space and time. Medical devices that could heal injuries by rebuilding damaged tissue at the molecular level. But most importantly, she had learned to communicate directly with Keeper minds. The process was similar to her brain-computer interface work, but far more advanced. Instead of just reading thoughts, the Keeper technology allowed complete mental connection between different species. Sarah could share memories, emotions, and complex ideas directly with alien minds. It was during one of these deep communication sessions that she discovered the truth. Sarah was working with Zephi, the Keeper scientist who had become her closest alien friend. They were designing hybrid human-Keeper weapons, when Zephi accidentally shared a memory that wasn't meant for Sarah to see. The memory showed Object Y, the approaching Devourer ship. But in the memory, Object Y wasn't attacking planets. It was rescuing survivors. "Wait," Sarah said, breaking the mental connection. "Show me that memory again." Zephi's skin shifted to deep purple, which Sarah had learned meant embarrassment or shame among Keepers. "That memory is not relevant to our current work," Zephi said through their mind link. "Zephi, you're my friend. We've shared everything for 3 months. Why are you hiding this from me?" After a long pause, Zephi shared another memory. This one showed the destruction of the Keeper homeworld, but from a different perspective. In this memory, the Devourers weren't destroying the planet. They were trying to evacuate it. Sarah's mind reeled. "Zephi, what really happened to your world?" The alien's skin turned almost black with what Sarah recognized as deep sorrow. "Our sun was dying," Zephi admitted. "Solar storms were destroying our atmosphere. Our planet was becoming uninhabitable. The beings you call Devourers, they came to help us. Then why did you tell us they were invaders?" "Because we are ashamed. Because we made a terrible mistake." Zephi shared more memories. The real story of what had happened. When the Devourers arrived at the Keeper homeworld, they offered to relocate the Keeper population to safer planets. But many Keepers were afraid of the alien rescuers. They attacked the rescue ships, thinking they were under invasion. The Devourers fought back in self-defense. In the chaos and confusion, millions of Keepers died. The planet's ecosystem collapsed completely. Only a few thousand Keepers escaped in ships like Object X. "The beings you call Devourers are actually called the Preservers," Zephi explained. "They travel through the galaxy rescuing civilizations from cosmic disasters. Solar storms, asteroid impacts, planetary cooling. They have saved hundreds of species." Sarah felt sick. And Object Y? The ship heading toward Earth? They detected the same solar storm patterns that destroyed our world. "They're coming to Earth to offer evacuation for your species." Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing. Humanity was preparing for war against aliens who were trying to save them. "Why didn't you tell us the truth from the beginning?" Zephi's skin shifted through multiple colors. Shame, fear, desperation. "Because we are dying. Our ships are failing. Our population is too small to survive much longer. We hoped that if humans believed they were fighting an invasion, you would develop powerful weapons. Weapons we could use to take control of the Preserver ships. You want to become pirates? We want to survive. We thought if we helped humans defeat the Preservers, we could take their technology and find a new homeworld." Sarah stood up and walked away from Zephi. Her mind was spinning. Everything she had believed for 3 months was a lie. The Keepers weren't noble defenders of the galaxy. They were desperate refugees planning to use humanity as weapons in their own war. And Earth was preparing to attack the very aliens who were trying to save them. "I have to warn Earth," Sarah said. "You cannot," Zephi replied. "The other Keepers will stop you. They have invested too much in this plan. Then I'll find a way." Sarah ran through the corridors of Object X, her mind racing. She had to contact Elon. She had to tell Earth the truth before it was too late. But when she reached the communications center, she found it guarded by Keeper soldiers. Their skin was bright red, which meant aggression and readiness to fight. "Dr. Chen," said the lead guard through their mind link. "You are confined to quarters until further notice." Why? What have I done? Zephai reported your conversation. The council has decided that human emotions make you unreliable. Sarah was escorted to her quarters and locked inside. The room was comfortable, but there was no way to communicate with the outside. No way to warn Earth that they were preparing to fight the wrong enemy. She sat on her bed and tried to think. In 5 months, Object Y would reach Earth. The preservers would offer to evacuate humanity from some cosmic disaster that Earth scientists hadn't detected yet. But instead of gratitude, they would be met with nuclear weapons and space battles. The preservers would defend themselves, humans would die, the keepers would steal preserver technology, and Earth would be left defenseless against whatever cosmic disaster was actually coming. Sarah had to find a way to escape and warn Earth. But first, she needed to know more about what was really threatening Earth. That night, Sarah used her brain-computer interface skills to hack into the Keeper database. It was risky. If she was caught, the Keepers might kill her, but she had to know the truth. What she found was worse than she had imagined. Earth's sun was entering an unstable phase. Solar flares and coronal mass ejections would begin in approximately 2 years. The planet's magnetic field would be overwhelmed. The atmosphere would be stripped away. Within 5 years, Earth would be as dead as Mars. Human scientists hadn't detected the problem yet because they didn't have instruments sensitive enough to measure the subtle changes in solar activity. Only the preservers, with their advanced technology, could see what was coming. They were rushing to Earth to offer evacuation before it was too late. Sarah looked at the data with growing horror. Even if Earth won the war against the preservers, humanity would still be doomed. The solar disaster was inevitable. The only hope was to accept the preservers' help and evacuate to other planets. But thanks to the Keeper's lies, Earth was preparing for war instead of evacuation. Sarah spent the next 3 days planning her escape. She studied the guard schedules, mapped the ship's layout, and identified the communication equipment she would need to contact Earth. On the 4th night, she put her plan into action. Using her knowledge of Keeper technology, Sarah created a feedback loop in the ship's lighting system. When the lights began flickering throughout Object X, the guards left their posts to investigate the technical problem. Sarah slipped out of her quarters and made her way to the primary communication array. She had less than 10 minutes before the guards returned. She activated the deep space transmitter and began broadcasting toward Earth. But instead of using radio waves, she used the quantum communication system that Elon had been developing for SpaceX. Only Elon would know how to receive and decode her message. Elon, this is Sarah. Emergency code red. The Keepers have been lying to us. Object Y contains the preservers, not devourers. They're coming to save Earth from solar disaster, not to invade. Do not attack them. Repeat, do not attack them. Earth's sun is becoming unstable. We need evacuation, not war. I'm sending technical data about the solar crisis. Trust me, I love you. She attached all the scientific data she had stolen from the Keeper database and transmitted everything to Earth at maximum power. Just as she finished, the guards returned. They found Sarah at the communication array and immediately stunned her with an energy weapon. When Sarah woke up, she was in a detention cell deep inside Object X. Through the crystal walls, she could see space and the distant glow of Earth. Zephai visited her a few hours later. "You have doomed both our species," Zephai said sadly. "The Council is furious. They are accelerating their plans." "What plans?" "Object X will arrive at Earth ahead of schedule. We will attack your planet's defenses before the preservers arrive. When Object Y reaches Earth, your planet will be helpless. We will offer to protect Earth in exchange for your allegiance in our war against the preservers." Sarah felt her heart sinking. "You're going to hold Earth hostage. We are going to survive, even if it means becoming the monsters we once claimed to fight." Sarah pressed her hands against the crystal walls of her cell. Somewhere out there, Earth was preparing for the wrong war against the wrong enemy. Elon had received her message, but would anyone believe the truth? Would humanity choose evacuation over fighting? Would they trust aliens who were offering to help? In 3 months, Object Y would reach Earth. In 4 months, the Keepers would reveal their true intentions. In 2 years, Earth's sun would begin killing everything on the planet. The countdown to humanity's end had begun, and Sarah was trapped among the stars, unable to help the people she loved. But she wasn't giving up. She was Dr. Sarah Chen, the woman who had first communicated with aliens, the woman who had volunteered to leave Earth to save it. She would find a way to escape. She would find a way to contact the preservers. She would find a way to save both Earth and the Keeper refugees. Because sometimes saving the galaxy meant forgiving the lies people told when they were afraid of dying. Elon received Sarah's quantum transmission at 3:17 a.m. while working alone in his private laboratory at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. The message came through equipment that only he knew how to operate, using codes that only Sarah would know. When he finished decoding her transmission, Elon sat in silence for 20 minutes. Everything was wrong. For 4 months, Earth had been preparing for war against invading aliens. Every factory had been converted to weapons production. Every rocket scientist was designing defensive systems. Every nuclear weapon on Earth was being modified for space combat. But according to Sarah, they were preparing to attack their potential saviors. Elon studied the scientific data Sarah had transmitted: solar instability data, magnetic field analysis, atmospheric degradation models. The mathematics were terrifying, but undeniable. Earth's sun was becoming a killer. Within 2 years, solar storms would begin stripping away Earth's atmosphere. Within 5 years, the planet would be uninhabitable. Within 10 years, Earth would be a dead rock like Mars. Humanity had been so focused on the alien threat that they had missed the real danger coming from their own star. Elon picked up his secure phone and called General Hayes at Peterson Space Force Base. "General, we need an emergency meeting. Something has changed." "Musk, it's 3 in the morning. General, I just received intelligence that changes everything about our defense plans. We may be preparing to fight the wrong enemy." 2 hours later, Elon sat in the underground war room with General Hayes, Agent Thompson, and President Martinez, who had flown in from Washington, D.C. on Air Force One. "Show us what you received," President Martinez said. Elon played Sarah's message and displayed the scientific data on the main screen. The room went silent as world leaders absorbed the shocking information. "How do we know this intelligence is reliable?" Agent Thompson asked. "Dr. Chen has been aboard an alien ship for months. She could be compromised." "This is quantum encrypted data using codes that only Sarah and I know," Elon replied. "And the scientific data matches patterns that our own solar observatories are beginning to detect." General Hayes pulled up Earth's solar monitoring data. "Our instruments show increased solar activity, but nothing this static." "Because our instruments aren't sensitive enough," Elon explained. "According to this data, the solar changes are happening in frequency ranges that human technology can barely detect." President Martinez studied the alien data. "If this is true, if our sun really is becoming unstable, then these preservers might be humanity's only hope for survival. Or it's an elaborate deception," Agent Thompson countered. "Make us think we need rescue, so we'll lower our defenses." "Agent Thompson," Elon said, "if aliens wanted to conquer Earth, they wouldn't need deception. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. They could destroy us without breaking a sweat. Then why the elaborate story about solar disaster?" "Because maybe it's not a story. Maybe it's the truth." Elon activated another display showing Earth's defensive preparations. Nuclear missiles converted to space weapons. Satellites armed with energy cannons. Underground bunkers stocked with supplies for a long war. "We've spent 4 months preparing for battle," Elon said. "But what if we should have been preparing for evacuation?" President Martinez looked exhausted. "Elon, what are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting we consider the possibility that Object Y contains aliens who want to help us, not destroy us. I'm suggesting we prepare for both scenarios, war and evacuation." Elon had been thinking about this since receiving Sarah's message. "We continue building defensive weapons, but we also accelerate the Starship production program. If Earth really is facing solar disaster, we'll need thousands of evacuation rockets. That would cost trillions of dollars," General Hayes said. "The cost of being wrong is 8 billion human lives," Elon replied. "Then let's get more information," Elon suggested. "Let's try to communicate directly with Object Y. Find out what they really want." "Absolutely not," Agent Thompson said immediately. "Any communication could reveal our defensive capabilities." President Martinez held up his hand for silence. "Gentlemen, we need to make a decision. Object Y will reach Earth's orbit in 4 weeks. Do we greet them with weapons or words? Weapons, Agent Thompson said firmly. Words, Elon said just as firmly. President Martinez stood up and walked to the main display showing Object Y approaching Earth. The alien ship looked massive and threatening, but it could also be interpreted as impressive and protective. Within minutes, all our weapon systems are automated. If the aliens prove hostile, we can launch everything we have before they know what hit them. And if we attack first, and you're right, Elon thought about the solar disaster data Sarah had sent, then we destroy the only beings in the galaxy who could save us from our dying star. Maybe. But I'd rather be wrong about being peaceful than wrong about being violent. The response came back within hours. Greetings. We offer help. Time is short. They're offering exactly what Sarah said they would, Elon told President Martinez during an emergency briefing. Evacuation assistance for solar disaster. It could still be a trick, Agent Thompson insisted. The response was overwhelming. But most importantly, the data included predictions that could be tested immediately. According to their analysis, Dr. Park explained to the emergency session of world leaders, Earth should experience a minor magnetic storm in exactly 72 hours. They've given us the precise timing, duration, and intensity. If they're right, it proves they understand our sun better than we do, General Hayes said. And if they're wrong? Agent Thompson asked. For 72 hours, the world waited. Every solar observatory on Earth monitored the sun. Every satellite measured magnetic field changes. Every scientist watched for the predicted solar storm. At exactly the time the preservers had predicted, Earth's magnetic field began fluctuating. Aurora displays appeared in the sky as far south as Mexico. Radio communications were disrupted worldwide for exactly the duration the aliens had specified. The preservers had been right about everything. They're not invaders, President Martinez announced to the emergency session. They're rescuers. The question now is, do we accept their help? Elon thought about Sarah, trapped aboard Object X with aliens who had been lying to humanity for months. He thought about Earth's dying sun and the billions of people who had no idea their planet was doomed. President Martinez stood before the cameras in the White House press briefing room. Behind him were the leaders of every major nation on Earth, connected by video link. The press room was packed with reporters who had no idea they were about to hear the most important announcement in human history. My fellow citizens of Earth, President Martinez began. I must share information that will change everything you thought you knew about our planet's future. Elon watched the broadcast from SpaceX headquarters, surrounded by his engineers and rocket scientists. In a few hours, he would make the most important flight of his life. For the past 4 months, President Martinez continued, we have known that alien intelligences were approaching Earth. What we didn't know was why. Today, I can tell you the truth. Our sun is dying, and Earth has less than 5 years before it becomes uninhabitable. Around the world, people stopped what they were doing. Traffic came to a standstill as drivers pulled over listen. Offices emptied as workers gathered around televisions. Children in schools sat silently as teachers tried to understand what they were hearing. The alien ship approaching Earth does not contain invaders. It contains beings called the Preservers, who have traveled across the galaxy offering evacuation assistance to civilizations facing cosmic disasters. They are here to help us survive. The questions from reporters came like an avalanche. Mr. President, how long have you known? Where would evacuated humans go? How many people can be saved? President Martinez held up his hand for quiet. The Preservers can evacuate approximately 2 billion people to habitable planets and other star systems. It's not enough to save everyone, but it's enough to ensure that humanity survives. Elon turned away from the television. 2 billion people. Less than a quarter of Earth's population. The math was brutal, but it was better than extinction. His phone rang. Colonel Morrison, from the Space Force. Elon, Object Y has transmitted landing coordinates. They want to meet with Earth's leaders in 12 hours. Where? Edwards Air Force Base in California. They're sending down a small shuttle with a delegation of preservers. What about Object X? What about Sarah and the other volunteers? That's complicated. We've received another transmission from the Keeper ship. They're demanding to be included in any negotiations with the preservers. Elon felt cold dread in his stomach. The Keepers were still planning to use humanity in their war against the aliens who were trying to save Earth. Colonel, I need to be at Edwards when the Preservers land. That's already arranged. President Martinez wants you there. Your communication expertise might be crucial. 6 hours later, Elon stood on the runway at Edwards Air Force Base, watching the sky. Around him were the most important people on Earth. President Martinez, General Hayes, scientists from every major space agency, and military leaders from around the world. At exactly noon, a small ship descended from the sky. It was different from the Keeper transports Sarah had described. Where Keeper technology looked like living crystal, Preserver technology looked like flowing metal. The ship's surface seemed to move like liquid, while maintaining its solid shape. The ship landed without a sound. A door opened in its side, and 3 beings emerged. The Preservers were taller than humans, but not as tall as Keepers. Their skin had a metallic quality that reflected light like polished bronze. They moved with fluid grace, and their faces, while clearly non-human, conveyed intelligence and kindness. The lead Preserver approached President Martinez and spoke in perfect English. Greetings, leaders of Earth. I am Coordinator Sane of the Preservation Fleet. We offer our assistance in relocating your species before your star's instability makes your world uninhabitable. President Martinez stepped forward. We are grateful for your offer, but we have questions about the logistics of evacuating 2 billion people. Of course, we have prepared detailed plans for your review. Coordinator Thane activated a device that projected holographic displays into the air. The images showed massive ships capable of carrying millions of people, planets with Earth-like atmospheres where humans could build new civilizations, technologies that could accelerate the evacuation process. The journey to suitable worlds will take between 6 months and 2 years, depending on the destination, Thane explained. We have identified 14 planets where human biology is compatible with local conditions. General Hayes studied the holographic data. How do you choose who gets evacuated first? That decision belongs to your species. We provide transportation and destination planets. You decide who travels when. Elon stepped forward. Coordinator Thane, we have humans aboard a ship called Object X. The beings there call themselves Keepers. They claim you destroyed their homeworld. Thane's expression became sad. The Keepers suffered a terrible tragedy, but not by our actions. We attempted to evacuate their homeworld when their star became unstable. Many Keepers were saved, but others feared us and attacked our rescue ships. In the resulting conflict, many lives were lost on both sides. And now, the surviving Keepers have been wandering space for many years. We have offered them settlement on preservation worlds, but they have refused. They blame us for their losses, even though we were trying to help. Agent Thompson, who had remained silent until now, spoke up. How do we know you're telling the truth? How do we know this isn't an elaborate invasion plan? Thane gestured to the holographic displays. Agent Thompson, if we wished to conquer your world, we would not need deception. Our technology could overwhelm your defenses in minutes. We offer evacuation because preserving life is our purpose. It is what we have done for over 10,000 years across hundreds of worlds. Prove it, Agent Thompson demanded. Thane activated another device. The holographic display changed to show a vast space station orbiting a distant star. The station was beautiful beyond description, with gardens and cities and millions of beings from dozens of different species living together in harmony. This is Sanctuary Station, one of our preservation worlds. Here live the survivors of 47 different civilizations that we have evacuated from cosmic disasters. They maintain their own cultures, their own governments, their own ways of life. We do not rule, we simply provide them with a safe place to exist. Elon stared at the images of aliens and humans and beings he couldn't identify, all living together peacefully. Are there humans there already? A few. Explorers who left Earth centuries ago and found their way to us. They helped us understand human psychology in preparation for this mission. President Martinez looked around at his advisors. Coordinator Thane, we need time to discuss your offer with our populations. This affects every person on Earth. Of course, but time is limited. Your sun's instability will accelerate rapidly once it begins. We estimate 18 months before evacuation becomes much more difficult. As the meeting continued, Elon's secure phone buzzed with a message from SpaceX Mission Control. Object X is changing course, heading directly toward Edwards Air Force Base. Estimated arrival in 2 hours. Elon showed the message to President Martinez, who immediately ordered additional security around the base. What do the keepers want? President Martinez asked Coordinator Thane. Most likely they wish to interfere with the evacuation. The keepers have become desperate. They may try to turn your species against us to serve their own purposes. 2 hours later, the keeper ship Object X appeared in the sky above Edwards Air Force Base. Instead of landing, it hovered menacingly overhead, casting a shadow over the runway. A transmission came from the keeper ship. Elon recognized the voice immediately. This is Dr. Sarah Chen aboard Object X. I'm speaking on behalf of the Keeper Council. We demand to participate in all negotiations between Earth and the Preservers. Elon grabbed the radio microphone. Sarah, this is Elon. Are you safe? I'm fine. But the situation is complicated. The Keepers have revealed their true intentions. They want to use Earth's evacuation as an opportunity to steal Preserver technology.
Can you get off their ship?
Not without help. Elon, you need to know, the Keepers are planning to take some of the evacuation ships for themselves. They'll abandon humans in space if it serves their purposes. Coordinator Thane stepped forward. Dr. Chen, we extend the same evacuation offer to the Keepers that we extend to humanity. There is no need for conflict. The Keeper ship's response came not from Sarah, but from another voice. Cold and threatening. Coordinator Thane. This is the Keeper Council. We reject your charity. We demand reparations for the destruction of our homeworld. We demand Preserver ships and technology. I am sorry, but we cannot provide military technology to any species. It violates our core principles. Then Earth will choose between Preserver promises and Keeper protection. The Keeper ship powered up weapons that made the air around Edwards Air Force Base crackle with energy. Every human defensive system activated automatically. Elon. Sarah's voice came over the radio again. They're going to attack the Preserver ship. I'm going to try to stop them, but if I can't... Her transmission cut off abruptly. Elon looked up at the Keeper ship hovering overhead, knowing that the woman he loved was trapped inside with desperate aliens who were about to start a war. He looked at the Preserver delegation, peaceful beings who had traveled across the galaxy to save humanity from extinction, and he made the final choice of the most important day of his life. Coordinator Thane, Elon said, can your ship protect itself from Keeper weapons? Yes, but we prefer not to engage in violence. What if I told you that Dr. Chen and 49 other humans are trapped aboard that Keeper ship? Thane's metallic features showed what might have been surprise. You wish us to rescue your people? I wish you to save the person I love. Even if it means fighting. Coordinator Thane looked at President Martinez, who nodded gravely. Very well, Thane said. But understand that once we engage in combat, the Keepers may never trust us again. It will end any possibility of peaceful coexistence. Some choices are more important than peace, Elon replied, thinking of his canceled wedding and all the sacrifices that had led to this moment. Thane activated his communication device. Preservation Fleet, initiate rescue protocol. Extract all humans from Object X. Defend yourselves as necessary. In the sky above Edwards Air Force Base, the war for humanity's future began. But this time, Elon and Sarah would face it together. That was the end of this incredible tale of love, sacrifice, and humanity's greatest crisis. Sometimes the hardest choices lead to the most extraordinary outcomes, and sometimes saving the world means giving up everything you hold dear. Where are you listening from today? Drop your location in the comments below. We love hearing from our global community. If this gripping narrative moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating tales that blend romance, science, and the power of human courage. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family to spread kindness and awareness about the incredible sacrifices people make for the greater good. Your support helps us bring these amazing accounts to life. Until next time, remember that real heroes often make choices that no one else will ever fully understand.